What is up, guys? Coffee Break is back with another video, and I finally decided who the 49ers will draft here with the 13th pick. With the 13th pick of the 2020 draft, the 49ers will select. I have no clue. I honestly have no idea where the 49ers will go. And this is the first time in a very long time that I felt this way. That could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, I just don't know. The 49ers, as of the last few years, have been picking high on the draft. So you go based off needs, you go based off who's a better player, and then you make your decision. Here, it's more difficult for me to assess who the 49ers should go with at 13th. And I know what the 49ers need. They, of course, need a wide receiver. They need corner. They need offensive line help. But it's almost like you have to allow the draft to play out because you don't know what the other top 12 teams will do. Someone will fall. And that's kind of my assessment. My assessment is this. Some great player will drop to 13th, and you just hope the Niners will just capitalize on that, or maybe they trade back and allow another team to draft that player that didn't expect to fall to 13th, and you just roll with the punches. You just go on from there. You get more draft picks. But this is odd too, because a lot of people are expecting the Niners to trade back, and that is pretty obvious because they don't have a second, third, fourth round picks, so they're gonna want to have a day 2 pick essentially. So trading back the 13th or the 31st pick makes a ton of sense. And I've also just realized that the more I watch tape on people, I just get more confused. But let me stand on my ground here before I confuse everybody. I think the Niners are totally out on Jeudy. I just feel like maybe wide receiver isn't the best way to go at 13th overall. I originally thought the Niners were going to land the receiver, but after further consideration or just being totally confused, I think it would be smart if the Niners draft other positions in dire need, like corner, like offensive line. And again, I think taking a receiver that high, I don't think Shanahan or Lynch want to operate that way. They haven't since they've gone here. So it only makes sense if they get either a defensive key player that can help us immediately or get us some offensive line help for this year and for years to come. At corner, you have Richard Sherman in the last year of his contract. K'Waun Williams is also a free agent at the end of the year. So is Witherspoon. You had both Witherspoon and Emmanuel Moseley switching off playing corner last year. So it's safe to say the Niners need to have another corner to withstand not only this year, but for years to come. This secondary could look entirely different in 2022. And I know that's beyond everyone's scope, but as a GM, you're thinking about these things. So drafting corner with the 13th pick makes a lot of sense for those reasons. And I do feel the Niners, of course, need a receiver, but you can still get great value for a receiver if you just trade back in the second or even third round. I mean, there's some really talented guys out there. And like I said, some good wide receiver is going to fall to the second, third round pick that can contribute and be a starter. Are they going to be to the level of a CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy? I don't know. That's still to be determined. But the point is, you're going to have to make a choice. Do you sacrifice a little bit of the receiving core to help give Jimmy protection, or are you going to want to just make this defense a juggernaut and draft a corner that only have to cover for a few seconds because our D-line is still elite? So those are things to consider. Now, because the wide receiving group is so deep this year, you can't say the same thing about corner. I mean, once the top guys are off the board, like Okudah, Henderson, Gladney, Bryce Hall, Christian Fulton, I'm sure I'm missing some folks. The level of talent just diminishes, and you're now dealing with backup players or special teams players. It's all about choosing wisely, right? And I fought this at the beginning. Like, I don't want to draft a corner. No need for that right now. But again, right now could be fine. Next year seems like all of your secondary is going to be gone. you're gonna have to re-sign some of these guys or other players to come in. So it makes sense to get ahead of this. The Niners have been associated with CJ Henderson. Ball skills, fantastic. Coverage skills, awesome. Great. Tackling, poor. That's the only thing. Tackling. That's my only complaint. Everything else is fantastic. He checks all the boxes. So that's something that you can definitely coach, and he does show flashes of tackling. I just feel like maybe he just didn't put too much focus on it, I'd say. And his stock has steady increased, and for good measure, some say he's the top corner in this draft, even ahead of Okudah. So that's kind of where people are putting him. Elite status right there. And speaking of Okudah, I think Okudah would fit well in the Niner system. And if he so happens to drop, then why not? Why not go with Jeff Okudah? I like him. I also said I like Damon Arnett, right? But if you're going to draft a corner that high, then there's no need. So that's how much I'm confused right now, just to let you guys know. I mean, you just never know with this draft, but I could be sure of this. Some big talent will drop to the Niners at 13th. It could be a great tackle or a great corner. The 49ers need to make the call. If both Henderson and Jeffrey Okudah are gone when the Niners are picking, then of course they'll transfer that energy to draft, a wide receiver or an offensive lineman and vice versa. I just feel like maybe wide receiver isn't the way to go. That's all I'm saying. But if you asked me, again, this is how confused I am about this. If you asked me, the Niners drafted CeeDee Lamb, I'm not complaining. If you ask me, they drafted Jerry Jeudy, I'm not complaining. My only question is who was left on the board when they drafted that person, right? I guess the only thing I have to say is, because I'm just all over the place here, I think we're all just ready for the draft. We just need this draft to start. And I'll make my assessments then and there, right? As the draft will go on. If you want to see that, I'll be, tweeting during the social distancing draft we're going to have this year. So feel free to follow me on Twitter. That's kind of where you get my reactions in real time. But anyways, guys, I'm done talking. Just a few days away. We're just a few days away, and I need this. I'm sure we all need this in our lives right now. It's been like 6 weeks without sports, and we need a little excitement. But go ahead and drop your comments below. Thank you all for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.